joined, I think, by Emmanuel Chibuzo, who's a basketball expert. He was here on Friday telling us, about gloom and doom, about how this Nigerian team will be annihilated. Emmanuel, thank you so much for coming through. This Nigerian team has surprised you, surprised us. So far, won one game, lost another heavily. So far, so good. How would you describe their performance?
Well, good evening, guys. Great to be on the show. I'm not surprised with what I'm seeing. The biggest surprise for me is that Nigeria won their first game against China. That game, 93-88. That was the biggest surprise for me. That Nigeria won that game by a 5-point margin. Nora Ezike, like you mentioned, scored 25 points in that game, 6 rebounds in that game. Ijumago Begi scored 18 points in that game as well. Jessica Ajayi had 10 points in that game as well. So Toby Nweke also had 15 points in that game. 4 players from Nigeria scored in double figures in that game against China. Now, against all odds, we won that game. And against Canada, 71 points margin was what they lost, went down with. And what's his name? Tunde, I don't know how they're going to come back from that. You know, in a tournament of this magnitude, the margin with which you lose a game also comes in handy.
True.
Comes into calculation. They play Portugal tomorrow. Wandu Hemba scored 13 points yesterday. She was our biggest performer in that game. While the person who was the star of the team, talking about Jessica Ajayi, had 7 points. And Ijuma Gobegi had 6 points yesterday. So we lost on all the quarters. First quarter, 23-5 was what we lost. Second quarter, we also lost by a heavy margin, 39-11. Third quarter was close, 23-16. But overall, I just feel how are they going to come back against Portugal is the big question. Now, they have to find a way to erase the 71-point margin with which they lost, because it's going to come into play as they're going to advance to the next round of the competition.
Well, I need to ask you about that game, Emmanuel, that game against Canada. Extraordinary scoreline, 71-point difference, 113-42. So I know you watched that game. The question for me, Emmanuel, was it that Nigeria was that bad, or maybe the gods just smiled on Canada? That we've seen it happen before, where there are some days where your shooters are just so hot. 23 pointers. That has to be a record for international basketball.
Yes, I think one of the problems was that they were jittery. They were nervous. This is the first time they're taking part in this competition. Even the game against China that they won, I saw the game. Nigeria were terrible from the floor. Their shooting was poor. In the first quarter of that game, the Chinese team took 19 shots, attempted 19 field goals, and they made 10. In the first quarter, Nigeria attempted 17, and they made just 6. So we shot 27% from the floor, while they shot 55% from the floor. We won that game, but the field goal percentage shooting, they were better than Nigeria in that game. Talking about the Chinese game that we ended up winning. So coming against the Canadian team, they are the third best team in the world at that under 19 level. We were G3 throughout. They were not confident of their shot. Poor decision making. They passed the ball at the wrong time. So many turnovers happened in the game as well. So the rate of their turnovers were too much. They were indecisive when they passed the ball to their teammates. So many steals from the Canadian side who stole the ball because the player passed the ball at the wrong time. So their choice of shot was not coming in very well for them. You're right. Sometimes your shot will not drop. But I think they were G3, Canadians saw it, and they capitalized on it. 23-5 the first quarter, 39-11 the second quarter, 23-16 the third quarter, and 28-10 in the fourth quarter. Nigeria did not stand a chance in any of the quarters at all. Wow. Because their shooting was horrible, decision making was poor, and there was no playmaker in the team.
So from what I get from you, Emmanuel, it was a case of two things. Nigeria were that bad, and Canada were that good. So two things just conspired to ensure that Nigeria were annihilated. But before we let you go, Emmanuel, hopefully Nigeria can get a win over Portugal. It's going to be tough going by that 71-point margin they lost by Canada. It's going to be tough. But I need to ask you about this particular situation. Word coming out from the National Sports Commission or from the NBBF is that the tickets for the Nigerian national women's basketball team, the Tigers, to travel to Cote d'Ivoire have not been bought. The Ivorians have not received Nigeria's travel itinerary. They don't know when the Nigerians are going to show up. We hear that the homecoming tournament is still going to go ahead against Togo and Kenya. The U.S. tour has been cancelled. Not the best of preparations, but the likes of Senegal, the likes of Angola, they've been top gear. Are you still confident that Nigeria can defend a title our title in Abidjan?
We are the ninth wonder of the world, in Jaquana's voice. So we have seen worse days than this. So let's not forget that Rena Wakama was appointed barely a month before the Afro-Basket tournament when she came in on board, and she went on to win the tournament. Nigeria did not make any noise about it because Nigeria wanted to win that tournament. If Nigeria had lost, we would have been asking questions. How do you allow Otis Huli to leave and allow Rana Wakama to come in 1 month? Now, Otis Huli, the former coach, is now the coach of Senegal. Senegalese team were to go camp in the USA on a tour, but because of the visa issues and Trump, they couldn't go. They are staying back at home in Dakar, preparing to host teams for friendly matches. We are not doing all of this. Today, with all of this drama that is playing out, Nigeria can still go to Ivory Coast and win the AFCON, the Afro-Basket tournament. That's how good they are. But the Senegalese are also building, and they are becoming a problem for us. Even the Malians are also there. So, like I told you on Friday, I spoke with the guys in the Sports Commission. What are the plans and the itinerary for these girls? For both on the 19 and the senior team, there was no plan on ground for them. That was what I was told from someone who works in the Sport Commission. So I'm not surprised. But like I said, Nigeria can go to that tournament and pull up on that. Nigeria can actually beat Portugal tomorrow and find a way to qualify. But 71-point margin is quite Herculean and quite huge. But I think I'm not surprised. This is what we have been working with. But for the senior D Tigers, I would not be surprised if they go to Ivory Coast and pull up some trees and do something extraordinary. But it is what it is. That's what we are faced with.
It still doesn't make it right. It still doesn't make it right at all. Emmanuel Chibuzo, our basketball expert, thank you so much for coming through tonight.
It doesn't make it right, yes.
Yeah, but I'm just hoping that the girls have listened to you and will go all out against Portugal at the FIBA U-19 World Cup tomorrow and do Nigeria proud once again. Thank you so much for coming through tonight, Emmanuel Chibuzo.